We are on the morning break and the third day of questioning of the undercover police officer Carlo Soracchi, who, using the cover name Carlo Neri, infiltrated the Socialist Party, No Platform, and other anti-fascist groups, including Antifa, who were first mentioned today.
Yeah.
I'm joined by Heather Mendick, a regular watcher of these hearings. What have you made of what we've heard from Carlo this morning?
It's really hard to explain how horrible he is. And even John Mitting seems to be like looking away from him and not able to. Normally he's really trying to be nice to these people and look at them and engage with them, and he just seems to be staring like his soul's gone, because this guy is so awful. And he just he denies. So it's almost interesting combination, because he's apologizing but also denying at the same time. And it's a weird wanting to apologize without wanting to take responsibility for anything. Even the wording of his own reports, he won't take responsibility for, which I've never seen before. Like, they'll constantly ask him, why did you, is this your intelligence?
Well,
yes,
the militaristic language that was in. Yeah, he was, I would never use that. That wouldn't have been me. And what's interesting is, I think what's coming through, despite that, one of the things that's his, we were shown some of the anti-Catholic slurs about Steve Headley, and he says, it would have been a joking environment. There were always lots of jokes, there was lots of humour. That was the sort of environment it was, which is directly in contrast to what we've heard from so many of the officers. So he's admitting things despite himself almost.
He's admitting a lot. Yeah, I mean, there's one report where he's reporting on, I think it's marriages, deaths, just changing circumstances, and it says. And births, and only joking. And David Barr says this is a joke about the number of pregnancies that arose out of the unit. I didn't even think about it like that. I just thought about he was dissing Wearies and saying that activists don't have children, even though he's also said that Steve, one of the slurs was the Catholic slurs was people have loads of children. It's all very contradictory, but the language.
And he was like, that was a joke.
That's a joke. Yeah. And the omissions as well is he admits that there was a crackdown on these relationships that happened in the unit. And that does seem to explain his different behavior than some of the other cops who just kind of kept quiet about it. Because at a certain point, he sort of says to his bosses, look, I've had two sexual relationships, long-term sexual relationships while I've been undercover, and almost seems to be doing it to get ahead of the game. And not be found out because of the consequences had shifted. So there's definitely, he's also admitting to the shifts in the unit that were happening and the ways those were playing out. And the fact that he got really, I guess the guy was swearing at him because I can't remember what phrase he uses about his boss, but it was clear he was swearing at him quite a lot.
No uncertain terms, I think is what he said. I mean, there was... we saw a bunch of his reports to do with No Platform, about confronting the BNP. And it was put to him that we were shown a report, an overview on No Platform. And it went through all these police tactics, which supposedly prevented No Platform from disrupting fascist events. And this was seen as success. And it was pointed out by Barr that all these tactics could have been done without any SDS intelligence. And he was like, well, what was the value of the SDS intelligence? And he was like, well, there's only so many fit teams and so many TSG carriers. They've got to know how to resort, it was better use the resources. And it's like, is that it? Is that the limit?
Yeah, I mean, David Barr's been really good actually at pushing him. I think his style is working very, very well at exposing Soracchi, and he's kind of pushing him on all sorts of there was a bit where he was reporting on George Galloway, which was insane. George Galloway was clearly on the way out as a Labour MP at the time, and he was talking to left-wing groups, including the Socialist Party, to sort of size up, I guess, opportunities afterwards where he might position himself. And this was reported on. And the question is something like, I think he reports something about the Stalinist tendencies of Galloway, meaning that he won't side with the Socialist Party ultimately. And then Barr says, what was Special Branch's view on the Stalinist tendencies of George Galloway? And then it's like, why are you even reporting on them MPs? What's the intelligence use of that? He really is pushing him on, well, why are you saying this? What do you do with it? What's the point of it? And over again, it's just it happened, it seems significant, so I reported it. And the Hoover thing is more evident with him than even before. It's just every single thing he heard gossiped about in the pub, he wrote down.
And he was quite clear. He said the vast majority of his deployment was concerned with listening to what people said in social settings, and then reporting back in conversation with my handlers, and then writing down what they thought was of use. I didn't expect them to write down things about people's medical conditions. I didn't even think about it. I just said everything that was on my mind, everything that I'd heard, and they wrote it up.
Yeah, and that's sort of probably partly true, but also partly you don't say everything. Like no one can say everything that happens in their life. And there were very deliberate things, as also Barr has been good at pointing out, that he did not say. He's always saying, you know, you moved from one address to another. You moved from living with Donna McClain to living with someone else.
Steve Headley,
yeah. And then it's like, well, what did you tell? You obviously had to report that you were changing address. What did you tell them? So there he's not saying a lot of stuff. So the first thing is obviously you just can't say everything. So he is selecting what are the criteria. He'll deny that he's got any criteria. And then there are very deliberate things where he's using it to protect himself and cover up terrible things. And he obviously just... The rent book from yesterday is another case where he was just making shit up and hiding stuff all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing which comes across very strongly, I felt, though, was that like the nature of his deployment really was to go to the pub, to go to parties, to just be part of the social scene, be like, from what we can get, like a really key part of that social scene, you know,
massively.
Throwing the parties, you know, like bringing out, buying the rounds of shots, making his own booze, cooking for people.
Massively,
you know, and it's more that than the organizations or like the actions that he's involved with.
And the other thing which is really interesting in terms of missions that's coming through is the underlying assumptions. Like there's a point at which he can't really acknowledge there's a difference between protest and, you know, serious disorder.
And he even says, to me, serious disorder is not getting out of the road when you're being told to. And it's like, if that's the bar, then fuck me. Like we're all, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. It's almost like the underlying idea, and these are going into reports, and presumably he's sharing the assumptions that are underlying the whole unit, the whole of special branch, is that essentially all protests should be illegal.
Yes,
certainly illegitimate.
Yes, it's a form of criminality that comes across very strongly. Is that like political activity is a form of criminality as far as they're concerned, and that doesn't matter if you're an MP or if you're doing something really innocuous. It's all a form of criminality.
Yeah, and another similar point is when at some point they're advertising for people to, you know, look at the members of the public to have a kind of sense of how the police are going.
Well, it's to apply for what was then new, the Independent Police Commission.
Perfect, thank you. You always get DL. I'm terrible with DL. Yeah, and the report on that is that some members of the Socialist Party are thinking about applying, and the assumption is that they're going to cause problems. And the whole point of them doing it is to cause problems for the Met Police. So both their intention, but also the effect. And Barr's like, well, could they not just be trying to help deal with the problems in policing? And it's like that was not something that his mind seemed to be able to encompass even now. And that's interesting as well, what his mind can't encompass now. Over and over again, he's asked a question. He's like, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting actually, because the IPCC was set up and was advertising in like homeless, like social work publications we were trying to bring in different sorts of people, people with an interest in policing who work professionally in adjunct areas. Joe Batty is the ideal candidate for that, and that's what was supposedly the idea. I mean, there'd been a lot of like things about this. Obviously, the police were like, "No, this shouldn't be right. It's only us who should be looking at the police. It has to be other, you know, it has to be people with a background in the police." And you can see that, you know, they're like kind of this is a major existential threat to their investigations.
And how much more so that now all these people, Joe Batty and so on, are getting to talk back to the police and are getting listened to more than the police are. And actually, it's interesting that now the inquiry is taking on the language of the activists. I talk about it, weaponizing empathy and things like that, which comes straight out of the testimony of Lindsay, right? And I think that's really telling that now they must hate it so much. If they could not even encompass the idea of someone sitting on this police complaints thing, to have to listen to that and to have those questions put to them, it's really powerful. This inquiry is really powerful at the moment.
I mean, it's something which comes up a lot is people go, what's the point of the inquiry? There's never going to be any justice. There's nothing at the end of this process that's going to result in any of these men being held responsible. And I always say it's the journey. There's the only thing. It's actually them being on the stand and being questioned. I mean, that's as close as we're going to get. Right. And I mean, you need to enjoy it while it's happening. He's very uncomfortable. He's squirming.
Oh my gosh, so much.
He is. I mean, this is the most he'll ever get held to account for his wrongdoing. And I think like we couldn't really, I mean, like, I really dislike sort of like, you know, being too complimentary of the staff, particularly because they're just doing their jobs. But I think we couldn't hope for a better barrister than Barr to challenge an officer on these matters.
Absolutely. I think he's, I mean, more than, we've been critical about him in the past, right?
Sure, yeah.
No, but on this one, he's really got it.
Yeah.
He's just every single thing he's hammering. And he's basically, I mean, he's accused him of lying.
Yes, he has, yeah.
And that, and sometimes indirectly, but actually directly yesterday.
Yeah,
Soracchi was really upset.
Really upset. Yeah, he was like, offended. He looked like emotional about it. But I mean, he has to be lying because he's contradicted himself so many times. Yes. One of them's got to be a lie. You know what I mean? Like, for sure. Because the person who's accusing him of lying really is himself. Because he's saying what I mean. We were some of his comments yesterday, and we were shown when we came in this morning. Some of the stuff from his written statement was directly contradicted what he told us yesterday. It's like he can't stay consistent at all.
Yes, he started a slightly. So he's always saying, "I can't remember." He started doing a slightly different version of that today, which is, if I'm being honest or speaking honestly, or I can't remember the exact phrasing, I can't remember. It's almost like he's trying to defend against that accusation to stop Barr saying you're lying. And it just makes him look more dishonest.
Oh, incredibly so. We've had a couple of comments.
That's cool.
Someone from the Free the NPR Beagles. So political activity is criminal activity, but falsifying expenses ain't. That's SDS logic, comrade. That's SDS logic. Would protest? Would protesting and protest become a positive?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. That's a really interesting comment.
Yeah, quite. It's only a short break. We should probably head back in. Everybody seems to have left the room. They might have restarted already. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, come on down though. I mean, I've just met someone who's come on down to see this guy. A few people. I think it really does shape how you understand policing, protests, everything.
Definitely, yeah. I would really echo that. Please like, share, subscribe. All that stuff makes a huge difference to how visible this stuff is. And we'll see you on the lunch break. Bye for now.